Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're waiting for committee member Pauly to sign. He said he was,
Recording in progress.
so before we call the meeting to order, we'll wait another 5 minutes to see if he's going to be able to join us.
There he is.
All right, good afternoon. Call the meeting of the Architectural Review Committee for Wednesday, February 15th, 2023 to order. To begin with, Erica, will you do a roll call for members, please?
Sure. And to begin, Committee Member Carter and Committee Member Ostovar let us know that they would be absent today. So I have Chair Hunter,
Present.
Vice Chair Tregenza,
Here.
Committee Member Pauly, Committee Member Pauly. Okay, and Committee Member Schmidt.
Here.
I can go ahead and announce the staff members present. We have Principal Planner Roveri, Associate Planner Buggert, and myself, Recording Secretary Barrera.
All right, thank you. Before we get started, one item, committee member Bluth, Bob Bluth has left the Architecture Review Committee and will be joining the Planning Commission. So thank you very much for your service on this committee, Bob, and we wish you all the best of the Planning Commission. Hope it isn't going from the frying pan into the fire, but good luck. All right. Okay. So to start off with, we will look at the consent agenda. Are there any members here that have any comments on the consent agenda?
Let's make sure to open it to the public as well.
I will.
I can let the public know how to join. Members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey and Comcast Channel 25. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. If prompted for a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions for using Zoom are available at monterey.org/public meetings. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off TV or computer speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Please stay within that limit. There are 2 attendees online. I don't see any hands raised.
All right, thank you, Erica. If no comments from the committee, I'll open up the consent agenda for public comments on any items that are not on today's agenda.
Oh, sorry, we do need a vote on the consent agenda first.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
So then with the consent agenda, I'll entertain a motion on items on the consent.
I move to approve the consent items.
I second.
Okay, the motion has been put forward by Vice Chair Tregenza and seconded by Committee Member Schmidt. Erica, will you do a roll call vote for us, please?
Sure. Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tregenza,
Aye.
Committee Member Pauly, Committee Member Pauly. The audio is hard. I believe you said aye. And Committee Member Schmidt.
Aye.
Okay, the minutes are approved with a vote of 4.
All right. As we still have no one member of the public wants to comment on items that are not on today's agenda, I'll close the consent agenda and move on to the first public appearance items, which is to consider 976 Mesa Road Architectural Review Permit ARP 22-0186 for preliminary and final architectural review of a two-story addition and accessory structure for an existing single-family dwelling and tree removal permit ART 23-0023 for removal of 6 trees. Does staff have a presentation?
Yes.
Good.
Good afternoon. My name is Matthew Buggert. I'm an associate planner with the City of Monterey's Planning Division. I will also share the screen before I move into this presentation. As Chair Hunter noted, this is 976 Mesa Road, architectural review permit for a two-story addition and accessory structure to a single-family dwelling and tree removals at the ARC meeting, February 15th, 2023. The recommendation from staff is that the ARC adopt the resolution approving the architectural review permit and tree removal permit with conditions of approval. The subject property, 976 Mesa Road, is in the Alta Mesa neighborhood on the southern side of the city, south of Camino El Estero. And for some historic context, back when Alta Mesa had little to no trees, we can see the subject property in the lower right. In 1923 is roughly around the original, when the original structure was built. Here's another angle of it, back from that 1923 construction period. The historic status is that 976 Mesa Road is considered a contributing property to the Alta Mesa neighborhood. And this is according to the Alta Mesa Historic Context Statement and Reconnaissance Survey dated February 18th, 2020, adopted 2 years ago by HPC. 976 Mesa Road is also considered individually eligible for listing as a historic resource. Because of this, a phase 2 historic assessment was done for the property. It's attached as Exhibit B to the resolution. And it was prepared to assess the project's potential impact since it is a potentially historic and significant resource. The conclusion from that report is that the work would be executed consistent with the Secretary's standards for rehabilitation with the least possible loss of historic material. And based on the findings of that report, subject to section 38-74 BD1A, alterations which conform to those standards shall follow the regular city planning and buildings permit review process, which is why it is here before you today at ARC. Today, the existing front elevation includes a 1927 addition that was added on the left side of the original historic frame. You can see the story pole netting off to the left of where the new addition would be proposed. And because of that survey, for the most part, the structure will not necessarily be touched. To the right, there will be a few alterations, including opening up an old door space that can be seen today. It's not in these photos, but I took a close-up photo of it as well. It could be reopened, and everything to the left would be removed and replaced with the modern-day two-story addition. Here are the elevations on the plans. Again, pretty much showing the same as the photo, just in plan form. Here on the right side, you can kind of see the old square that would be punched through to create a new door under this project. This shows the proposed two-story addition on the left side. It would be different from the original historic house, but would match roughly in color and tiles and similar architectural features. This is the south elevation, so rotating left on the house. This is the previous version of the existing version of the structure. And as it is proposed under this project, it would push it backwards from the house, kind of making an L shape of the property. We'll move into some more figures so we get a full view of what is being proposed. Again, the color of the walls, the tile would generally match the original residence, but the architectural features would, as shown here, be quite different from that original structure. Additionally, there is a proposed 12-foot high accessory structure, garage, and storage building. It would not be attached to the main structure and would be offset a few feet, I want to say 10 to 15 feet away from the primary residence. And this is looking from the rear of the property towards the street from the west. It's a little unclear, but the garage structure can be seen in the foreground, and then the addition can be shown behind it, and the original structure off to the left. The left side shows the existing floor plan of what's there, including a kitchen, a bathroom, a service hallway, bedroom, laundry, washer, dryer. And on the right side is what's proposed for the first story on the new addition, including, again, a kitchen, a little family seating area, sink, stovetop, mud room in the back. And on the left side, a new elevator. And on the bottom, we can see a spiral staircase leading up to the second floor, which is shown here. The original floor plans included a bedroom on that second floor, and the new addition would provide some modern fixings, taking that bathroom that used to be downstairs and moving it upstairs, including a master bedroom, a balcony overlooking their backyard, and the spiral staircase leading down. There's a small attachment on the right side, which connects to the primary existing residence. Here's a top-down view, an aerial view of the site plan. This is what is existing there right now. We can see the addition in the lower left, extending pretty much straight off of the primary residence. There are currently 63 trees on the property. It's a pretty heavily wooded area, and the tree assessment notes that it's a little overgrown. Of those 63 trees, 6 are proposed to be removed. Most of them are around improvement areas, which we'll be seeing on the following figure. So we'll go from projecting to the left to being pushed up. The spiral staircase would fit in this rounded feature over here, elevator over here, the one-car garage and storage room over here. They would do some landscaping changes over here from more of a dirt open area with a patio to a round central area. The road is on the bottom of the figure. So the top is south. This was a artistic rendering of what it might look like. There were some small adjustments that have been made since that time, including it wouldn't be a 2-story structure that they're proposing on the side. It would just be a 1-story structure, and it would no longer be attached. So those 2 features have been removed, but otherwise it's roughly showing what the plans show today. The findings required for approval from ARC is that the siding, form, mass, and architectural style are appropriate. The project does meet the development standards and has appropriate siding. It's a pretty large parcel and it's set in. The massing, scale, and style is compatible with a single-family neighborhood. It's a large addition. There are a number of large single-family homes in this neighborhood. Views, privacy, and living environment are not impaired. Again, it's a large property. It's heavily forested. It is somewhat difficult already to see inside the property. And no impacts were identified regarding privacy or the living environment. Additional findings required for approval is that the project is consistent with city plans and design guidelines. It is, at least when it comes to development standards, floor area ratio, lot coverage, and so on. The exterior finish, colors, materials, and exterior features are appropriate. It is compatible with the Alta Mesa neighborhood and city. Again, the finishes would generally match the existing structure in terms of color and tiles being used. And in situations where a healthy tree prevents reasonable development of permitted uses, the tree or trees may be approved for removal. In the case of this project, there are 6 trees roughly around where the addition is proposed. And because of that, the finding can be made. The conditions of approval, as is, the project would comply with the required conditions of approval as contained in the resolution. There weren't necessarily unique ones applied to this project, and even with the tree removals, it was seen as a benefit to the property to do a little bit of tree clearing. Having a replacement was not currently proposed as part of those conditions. And ultimately, the recommendation from staff is that ARC adopt the resolution approving the ARP permit and tree removal permit with the conditions of approval as contained. With that, that concludes staff's presentation. I know the applicant is here as well, and they'd like to say a few words at some point, but thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Matthew. Open up first for comments or questions for Matthew from committee members. Any? No. All right, no questions for Matthew. Open this up for the owner or applicant to make a presentation or a statement. Please give your name, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Craig Holdren with Holdren Litsky Architecture, representing Carl Rumelhart, who's with us today, as well as his wife, Virginia DeMarchi, who's not with us. Thank you. Thanks for that presentation, Matthew. A couple of things I might want to elaborate on slightly. Could you bring up the site plan, please? That'd be very, very helpful. Obviously, what's interesting about this property and what made it such a wonderful thing for the owners to find their way into is just how historic and sort of the profound aesthetic that the house has. And they're very, very keen on that. This isn't one of these things where they want to create something that's not appropriate to what's there. They really want to bring that house back. There's a Francis Elkins bathroom on the interior that will be beautifully maintained. There's very little updating, but of course, a lot of rehabilitation is going to go into that main structure. Our proposal here, thank you for bringing that up, Matthew. Our proposal here really tries to leave the important part, the important part of the house alone and create sort of almost a freestanding element there to the south, which is at the left-hand side of the screen, which projects towards the rear so that it sits a little bit farther from Mesa, because one of the noticeable things right now is how close that house is to Mesa, and we'd like our addition to begin to sort of step away from that. At the same time, try to create more of a pronounced court effect on that west side, which is the sort of central upper portion of the site plan shown there. We've got that wing of the proposed partial 2-story extending out. Thank you, where Matthew's cursor is. We have the proposed new detached garage and storeroom there. And then we haven't really spoken about that block to the far west, which is currently there as a drive-through garage. It's a 1-story garage, but it already fronts that kind of idea of this court that is shared by the main house. And we're looking to kind of celebrate and define this a little bit differently, a little bit more. I mean, it has great light. It's a very, very peaceful spot, great green belt experience. And to have sort of the movement of these sort of primary objects, sort of creating that sense of enclosure, while at the same time you grab those views, beyond into the green belt, down towards the watershed, is we think a very, very fine thing. As I mentioned, the owners do have a keen appreciation for what this house is. In fact, they live in a house in Palo Alto that a historic house that they rehabilitated. So they understand the commitment involved in sort of bringing this thing back to what it once was and the luster it should have once again. Can you bring up our 3D? Thank you. The 3D really shows the nature of what we're trying to do in creating sort of the strong division and distinction between the proposed and the new. We've introduced this round drum, which is of course that stair, which could be we think a fantastic element from the interior, but it acts very literally as a knuckle between the old and the new. In addition to that, we've got a large almost story and a half of glass immediately to the right of that, again creating this sort of literal crevasse or disconnect between the two sides of the house, really trying to be very, very clear about what's old, what's new. As Matthew pointed out, this isn't quite current, this particular drawing. The other way in which it's slightly different, and you'll notice this if you compare this image to your elevations, is that we've treated the ceiling in the family room of the addition a little bit differently, so that it sort of sheds up into the round drum as opposed to being a gable that kind of intersects it. And we think again that I do have a 3D sketch I can show it to you if you're interested in seeing what that update looks like. But it's very similar and it's consistent with what's shown on your exterior elevations. But again, really trying to sort of be very, very clear and concise. This is old, this is new, and allow things to sort of progress accordingly. The materials, as mentioned, are obviously very, very derivative from what's there now, but the roof tile would be different. It would be laid a little bit differently. The expression of wood detailing would be different. The new windows, which would be custom made in order to be sort of appropriate to the time, would have different sticking and a different ideology about them in order to, again, create that subtle but pervasive sense of distinction between old and new. As you may have noticed, I can probably ramble on at length, but I will shut up and allow you to ask any particular questions you might have.
All right, thank you for that. Open it up for questions for the applicant from members of the committee. Any committee members have questions for the applicant? Okay. At that point, I'll open it up for any members of the public for comment on this agenda item. You wanted, Erica, tell them how people outside can join via Zoom?
Sure. Once again, to join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. Today's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name they've typed into Zoom. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Please stay within that limit. There are 2 attendees online. I don't see any hands raised.
All right, thank you. Any members of the public here would like to make, or you're the homeowner, I think. Would you like to make a quick statement?
I don't count.
No, you don't count. If you want to make a comment, please go ahead.
Very briefly. So just first of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate also the hard work on this. Just to introduce myself and our family just very briefly. So as Craig said, my wife and I, we've lived for almost 30 years in the Bay Area, mostly in Palo Alto. We have loved our 1927 revival style house that we put a lot ourselves into. Now that our kids have grown up, we were looking to spend a lot of time in Monterey, which is an area we love. And we really, really are into the history of the area, and this house, just fantastic for us. Love it. And I just want to emphasize how excited we are to bring this beautiful home, this beautiful history with so many stories we've been reading and all between the builder and the designer and the original owner. It's just a fun experience for us. We also really want to build a place where our family, our friends can gather in the future. We're alone from our kids have left. We want them to come back. We want the family to gather. We want to have a place that really works as a gathering place. we'll be spending as much time here as we can, obviously more as we move further through our life, and hope to really be members of the community. So looking to do that. And I, again, thank you for the consideration and look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Are there any members of the public in the chamber that would like to comment on this, please? State your name, please.
Kent Seavey, I'm the historic preservation consultant on the project. It's a rare instance when you can find 3 or 4, maybe 5 photographs of a building in construction in the 1920s in Monterey, particularly an excellent example of the Monterey style. In this particular instance, the building was complete. You could see who, what, when, where, how things were added, how things were subtracted. And it was key, I think, because of the addition, which was added by the second wife, stuck off the end of the building envelope and extended it, sort of like the nose on the wrong side of the face. In this instance, they needed the room, they wanted the room, but they turned the building with the tower feature, and that vertical you see is a glazed area. So you can see the original building construction on the right. Chimney is there. So it's all there. It's all back in place. The facade with the entry of the doors on the right. There's another section with windows. So it's going to look like it did when it was finished in 23, 24, but the extension of the building envelope has made a turn and goes inboard. And they, I think, were very careful to do that, especially Mr. Powell. Scott Powell is just coming out with the book on the interior designer. That'll be coming out in a month or 2. We have her entire archive at MPC in the library. So look forward to Scott Powell's book. And also, I would, this is one of the more interesting and pleasant projects I've worked on with an architect who has tremendous sensibility, as well as the clients. Any questions?
For me, does any committee member have questions for? All right. All right. Any other members, the public in the chamber that like to speak? Please.
Yeah, hello, Chair Hunter and members of the Architectural Review Committee. My name is Carol Dawson. I'm a member of the HPC and also a neighbor to 976 Mesa Road and a fellow J.C. Anthony home owner. It's a good project. I think, yeah, can't surprise, aren't you? I think it's a good project. No, I do. I think it's a great project. I did not know that that part was added in 1927, and that it's a good possibility that it wasn't even the same builder. So it's a great project. The only question I had was how the new is going to be differentiated from the existing. I mean, they say that the tiles are subtly different, and there are some things that are subtly different, but I'm not really clear on exactly that. What that would be. That would be my only comment. Otherwise, it's a great project. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Any questions? Any other comments from the public in the chamber or anyone online, Eric?
There are 2 attendees, but there are no hands raised.
Okay. All right, and I'll close the public comment on this item and open this up for the committee members' comments. And any comments or discussion from any of the other committee members? No? All right. That's quite if that's the case, I'll call for a motion on this particular project.
I'll move to approve 976 Mesa Road Architectural Review Permit ARP 22-0186. The preliminary final architectural review of 2-story addition accessory structure for an existing single-family dwelling and tree removal. Permit ART 23-0023 for the removal of 6 trees.
I second.
All right, the motion has been put forth by Vice Chair Tregenza and seconded by Committee Member Schmidt. Any discussion on the motion before we move to a vote? No? All right, Eric, will you do a roll call vote for us, please?
Sure. Chair Hunter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tregenza,
Aye.
Committee Member Polly? I believe that was an
It was-
aye.
Sorry, it's my mic's not coming through. Doesn't say that I'm muted. Can you hear me?
We
Yeah,
can
we
hear you.
hear you now.
Aye.
Okay, Committee Member Schmidt?
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries with a vote of 4. The decision is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 days. We have applications in the planning office or online.
Thank you very much. Congratulations and good luck with your project. Okay. Okay, all right. With that, that's the end of of those items. Are there any informational staff reports, comments available today?
Yes, just that at our next meeting on March 1st, all of the ARC members will have to attend in person in the council chambers because the governor's declaration of an emergency is over now. So COVID-19 is no longer an emergency, therefore all decision makers must return to in-person meetings. For our March 1st ARC meeting, we have actually 4 projects lined up. 484 Lane is a 2-story addition to a single-family home. 902 Lighthouse is the Carl's Jr. at the corner of Lighthouse and David. They're proposing some exterior remodel of the building and some signage. 2 Upper Ragsdale Building E is the last building to be built on the Montage Health campus over at Ryan Ranch. And then 2600 Sand Dunes Drive. That's the hotel at the border of Seaside and Monterey, right on the beach. They're proposing some remodeling of it as well, and some refreshment of the paint and just a remodel and it's a brand change too, so they're looking to just make it look more different and new. That's it for me.
Any final comments from any committee members? No. All right. Well, with that, I'll call or adjourn the February 15th meeting of the ARC adjourned.
Thank you.